terrorist groups. What is clear is that he was a person filled with hatred. Over the coming days, we will uncover why and how this happened, and we will go wherever the facts lead us.
Earlier, we spoke to our correspondent, Mimi Chia-Hammond in New York. We began by asking her how America is reacting to the news.
It was about 2 a.m. when there were first reports that police were engaging with the gunman in a gun battle outside of the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. So absolutely, those who have their phones switched to automatic news alerts woke up to absolutely devastating news. First, the numbers that came in as far as the death toll was about 20 people. And then at a later press conference, the mayor said he regretted to announce that the death toll has climbed to now about 50 people killed.
So details are starting to come through. We know that the gunman was 29 years old. He's been named. What else is starting to come through? Because I guess the big thing here is motive. And the fact that it was a gay nightclub, does that have anything to do with that at this stage, or do we not know?
At this stage, yes, because we have heard that the gunman's parents have spoken to authorities and media sources as well, local media sources. And the gunman's father said that he understands that his son became upset at the sight of two men kissing. Now, the gunman is a U.S. citizen. I think it's important to note, although his parents do come from Afghanistan, but they say that they had no idea that he had any plans to carry out this attack. They do not stand by his actions, and that they are, along with the rest of the nation, very deeply shocked, and they have absolutely criticized even what may have been the motive, whether it is his ties to reported Islamic extremism. Both his parents have said they offer absolutely no support.
All right, so President Obama must be concerned. He's often had to give some difficult speeches about gun control, and I'm sure that this is going to be an election issue coming through when Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton go head-to-head. Has there anything come out of the White House at this stage?
We are awaiting a press conference from President Obama. He's scheduled to speak in just about 10 minutes' time, so we'll know more about exactly what perspective he takes on this, but I think that he's going to echo speeches that he has made, unfortunately, in the past, including at the last one where he said he would not be surprised if he had to deliver remarks like this again in the remaining time of his presidency, which is just a few months at this point. And as you say, this is an election year, and so the conversation about gun control reform in the U.S. is certainly going to be even a bigger part of any campaign platform, I would imagine, after this.
All right, we're running out of time, but just one last question. We believe that a state of emergency has been declared in Orlando. What will this mean? And it's a pretty serious move, isn't it?
Yes, it is a very serious move, and it's what differentiates this shooting from some that we have seen in the recent past. But it essentially means that Orlando will be able to get more resources deployed to them to help in both the investigation and in treating those who have sustained injuries. The last I heard was that people were lining up in Orlando to donate blood to those who are still in hospital with their injuries. And it seems like this move is going to be one that's going to help the city recover a little bit faster and certainly with more resources than they might otherwise have. But it certainly does emphasize and underscore how deadly this shooting was and really what a big event this is for the U.S.
Well, that was our correspondent, Mimi Chia-Hammond, giving us an update on the Florida shooting. In other news, hundreds of gay rights activists have marched in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, in a pride parade. Now, the parade passed off largely without incidents. It garnered praise from Western diplomats that took part and said it was a sign of progress on gay rights in Ukraine. Flanked by thousands of police who formed a protective cordon around the area, activists shouted pro-equality slogans while carrying rainbow umbrellas. Parliament passed legislation last year to ban discrimination against gay people in the workplace. It's part of a series of laws Ukraine needed to pass to qualify for an EU visa-free travel agreement. Talk to your citizens through us. Well, that's the message of African editors to their leaders. The editors meeting in Ghana at a forum organized by the African Union and SOTU, a coalition of civil society organizations, lamented that most African presidents prefer to speak to Western media, hence denying their citizens vital information on development, political and socio-economic issues in their countries. The African Union Commission says it will engage the leaders on the need for a free media and an informed citizenry. Sarah Kimani with the details.
A meeting of minds determined to change the African narrative.
The editors here are very senior, they are the decision makers, and this has been very helpful because we feel that going forward they will be able to implement the commitments that they are making. What we have seen is that there is no shortage of willingness on the part of African media to communicate African development.
You could see the passion, the interest. People have been waiting for this for such a long time. It's just that they needed an avenue in which to express themselves.
For me, it is a great start. It's a little bit late, but it is a great start. Frank conversations.
Leaders of Africa don't want to let the media tell their stories. They are hostile to the media. They don't trust the media. And so it's difficult to tell someone's story when the person is not willing to let out and be truthful with you.
The newsmakers must be available. I'm talking about ordinary Africans. I'm talking about business, particularly the leaders themselves, to always avail themselves when we want to ask hard questions or when we want information.
Africa needs to start telling its story better, and that the media, we must take leadership.
The end goal, to demystify the African Union, a 50-year-old continental body charged with the mandate of bringing together Africans and African leaders to fight poverty, disease and ignorance, yet one that is greatly misunderstood.
It's amazing how much they do and how much it is relevant to communities that we serve, to many of our citizens. So we feel that if they can have a stronger working relationship with us, then we are able to understand more.
The editors and the African Union Commission, under the stewardship of SOTU, a coalition of civil societies working in Africa, agreed to form an African Editors Forum beginning from the 5 African regions and to engage the Commission more in telling the African story.
Once the member states develop that kind of a friendly atmosphere with the media, you will see it ascending to the African Union.
Because who best to tell the African story than the Africans themselves? Sarah Kimani, SABC News, Accra, Ghana.
Is a film about an Indian man who falls in love with a white girl during apartheid and the struggles that they face in order to be together. The movie set in the 1970s when interracial relationships were illegal.
You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in real life.
Take a journey of love with Mo and Pindi.
Take your life and put it in somebody's hands. And it's not a cowardly act to do.
We kind of knew that it is taking a risk having a relationship with anyone.
Fashion is a reflection of beauty in clothes.
What motivates me to be a designer is because I like fashion a lot.
Join your host Rufulo Mula for that 1-hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news.
Welcome back. This is Your World. Let's now take a look at your sport. The SA Rugby Sevens Academy and SA Women's Sevens Select Squad were crowned champions in Italy on Saturday when both teams won their respective tournaments at the Roma Sevens played in Rome. Now, the men's team won their fourth consecutive title by beating Brazil's national team 19-7 in the final, whilst the women's team won their second invitational title by beating Kenya 40-0 in the final.
Saru's Sevens program produced a shiny light in a dark weekend for South African rugby. Both the academy and women's teams winning their respective cup finals at the Roma Sevens. The tournament provided a platform for players returning from injury to stake a claim in coach Neil Powell's Olympic squad. Powell travelled to the Italian capital to look at players like veterans Frankie Horn and Branco de Pria, as well as Werner Kok, who returned to action after an extended layoff through injury. His game time was managed carefully, but he did well enough to score a crucial try in the final and was named player of the final.
Happiness in regards to individuals that came through nicely after being injured for a long time and their first tournament back on the field. So also one or two guys that did get opportunity in the season, but not enough so that we can make a decision on them. Also happy what we've seen there. So yeah, happy with the individuals, happy what the guys achieved in the last 2 days, and I think strong enough competition for us to really say that guys came nicely through this tournament.
What was particularly encouraging for coach Neil Powell was the form displayed by World Sevens player Werner Kok. Kok showed little effects of a 6-month layoff after he was injured in Dubai last year.
It's a once-off opportunity. I mean, it's the last tournament before Olympics, so we had to come out guns blazing, and I think the boys did well. We learned from such tournaments because we're playing against different styles, and I must say there was better competition this time around because it was other countries. So it was a good tester for us in preparation for Olympics.
Powell is expected to name a preliminary group of between 18 and 20 players for the Rio Olympics this week, Thursday. Tabiso Sitole, SABC News.
Turkey has once again failed to win their first match of the European Championships. They've lost all 3 of their previous opening games. Luka Modric scored the only goal of the match to clinch victory for Croatia.
The two countries had met 6 times before this encounter. Turkey had been in fine form during the build-up to the Euro. They boasted quality in defense and attack. However, Croatia would have powerhouse midfielders with combination of Luka Modric and Ivan Rakitic. It was no surprise when Modric struck outside the area to leave Turkish goalkeeper Volkan Babacan helpless. This meant that Turkey would again not take the lead in their games against their opponent. Croatia piled the pressure on in the second half, seeking a second goal. They were denied by the crossbar twice.
Mandzukic in the Cerner role. Oh, he put it on a plate too.
Victory for the Croatians in the opening match will be vital ahead of their next match against the Czech Republic. Meanwhile, European soccer's governing body has opened disciplinary proceedings against the Russian Football Union. This following violence at the end of the Russia-England match in Marseille. Russian fans charged their English counterparts moments after the final whistle. UEFA will make a decision on the sanctions in the next few days. Lebandube, SABC News.
Meanwhile, Poland has defeated Northern Ireland by a solitary goal during their Group C Euro 2016 clash in Nice. Here's that goal.
Piszczek. Milik. Down by Blaszczykowski, who got it back from Machinsky. Jakub Blaszczykowski. Milik scores! Zestful Polish penetration and a breakthrough goal for Arkadiusz Milik.
The Sutu have increased their chances of advancing to the quarter-finals of this year's COSAFA Cup. The boys from the Mountain Kingdom beat Mauritius 3-0 at the Independence Stadium in Windhoek, Namibia early this afternoon. Namibia is hosting this year's